And so, as always, the way my meetings go, we give them a chance to present, say what they're looking for, to ask you all what you want to see there, and then they stop so that you can give your input. I saw somebody that said they could not hear me. Somebody else said they could hear me. So I am going to say, make sure your volume is up. I'm going to make sure my volume is all the way up. And we're about to get started. So this is for a division that's going on, oops, I dropped something, that is going on Pinhook Road. I am going to ask the developers to go ahead and take it over. I'm going to ask you to make sure, because I am on my cell phone and it's hard for me to see when people have questions on my cell phone. So I'm going to ask to make sure that you monitor the chat room in case there are some questions. And we will get started. As always, this is not a done deal. This is to get your input and your suggestions. There may be things that you see or suggest that they have not even thought of, because I know I have many experts in my district. So I'm going to turn it over now and let's get started. Do I have the developers on the line? Are you all ready to get started?
Jay is here, but it seems he might be having some technical issues.
Matt,
Okay.
if you can hear me, this is Jay Easter. I don't know.
Yes, we can
hear
speaking,
you,
but I cannot.
We can hear you fine, Jay. We can hear you very fine.
We can hear Miss Lee as well.
Okay, then Jay, it's your show. Go ahead.
She's giving it to you, Jay, if you cannot hear her.
So I could hear Jay fine. I'm not sure why he couldn't hear me. Matt said that everybody else can hear me. So somebody let him know to go ahead and get started so that we can go ahead with this.
Jay, Miss Lee is letting you know that you are good to go ahead and start, whether you can hear her or not.
Nothing is happening. We've got silence. Come on.
He's saying he needs to call in, so I'm providing him with the call-in number in the chat.
Thanks. Okay. So while he is doing that, I will say to you, early voting has already started. So I hope you all have early voted. There are quite a few amendments on the ballot that are very important. So I hope that you read over them. I will say to you, the first one, and I'm not telling you how to vote, but I'm saying to you,
Okay,
the
guys,
first one.
I can't hear anybody. I'm going to try to call this number in so I can hear the dialogue. I've been texted and told y'all can hear me. So if you just give me 1 second and let me see if I can get audio.
As I was saying, if you all can hear me, the first amendment on the ballot is talking about a right to work state. And in itself, that sounds good, except I will tell you that Tennessee is already a right to work state. So that should put a red flag to you on that. So look over your amendments very closely. They are important and vote on them. And just so you know,
all right, I'll just share my screen and start talking, and we can figure out the audio.
Tennessee is already at work, can work at state. In case some of you didn't hear, longtime legislator Barbara Cooper died very early this morning. She was 93. She'd been in the legislature, I think, about 25 years, and she passed very early this morning, just to let you know. Okay, I'm turning off now for Jay.
Mr. Easter, if you can hear any of us, you are good to go.
Matt, you're gonna have to make me a co-host so I can share my screen.
Your access code or meeting number followed by your entry 248599386.
I am so sorry for those of you that are on here wondering what's going on. Hopefully, Jay will be on here on a minute to be able to describe what they're trying to get in our district. As I was saying before, this is not a done deal. This is a time when he will present, and then you will give your input on what you want. So let's cross our fingers that he hurries up and gets on.
Anytime to unmute yourself. You're unmuted.
All right, guys.
Yeah, you can hear me.
Yes, can you hear us?
I can.
I can through my telephone, and I've muted the computer.
Everything
Matt,
sounds good now.
Okay.
Jay, this is Dan. I was just able to get in audio only as well, so I'm here as
Okay.
well.
All right. Matt, to share screen, I have to be made co-host.
You should already have those privileges. I passed them over to you.
Okay.
Or I passed the presenter privileges over to you.
Okay. All right. Did it come up?
Yes, we can see the plans now.
Oh, awesome. All right. Well, thank y'all for having us tonight at the meeting, and I apologize for my confusion and getting connected. This is our site. This is off of Pinhook Road. I believe this is either our second or third neighborhood meeting on this project. We have submitted it to staff and had received a recommendation of approval again, and then we're asked to defer to have another neighborhood meeting, which we are happy to do. The site plan, I'm going to scroll to it, has really not changed since the last meeting. We had addressed, we believe, all the neighborhood concerns regarding the site plan previous to this last submittal, which included additional green space info, adding benches, street lights, additional buffers around the neighborhood, as well as some of the individual homes. And we made all of those improvements as we had agreed to at the last meeting before we resubmitted to staff. Staff reviewed the application and then gave us another recommendation of approval. Now, I believe it is still the developer's commitment to make the $50,000 contribution towards the neighborhood center or facility of the councilwoman's choice, along with this project for additional public improvements. We put that verbiage on the submittal to staff. They had us remove it, but the developer is still committed to working with the councilwoman to figure out how to facilitate that, if that's amenable. The developer from Century Homes and the Century Home team is on the meeting as well, provided new architecture for this submittal, and I'll open it up to the screen. We have a variety of new home plans, and I will let, I can scroll through them and let Century weigh in and discuss them as I scroll through them. This is the first home plan, first elevation, the side elevation. Additional windows were added, as well as a stone water table around the base of the, around the foundation. This would be the other side of the home. This was a one-story model home that they were proposing to build that is all brick. This was a two-story brick front example of one of the home plans. Again, a brick water table coming around the side of the home and a back porch, covered back porch on the back of it. This is a different variation incorporating some alternate materials, brick, hardy board siding, some board and batten to give the house a little bit of flavor. This was just another elevation, different colored brick, some different shingle types, and some more board and batten. And here was another option of how the material combinations could work. And we've got the entire team here to answer any questions that you guys may have.
Great. As you said, you have been before us before. I know I had some folks to contact me about questions about the quality of Century Homes. So now is the time, if you all are looking at this and you have some questions, or not just questions, if you have some input or something that you want to see done differently. I did not actually hear them talk about the setbacks of the garage, about how far the houses are going to be set back so that if you can get two cars butt to butt on the side, or if they have done, because some of the driveway in is straight, whether they've done any kind of, put anything in there for traffic, traffic calming, such as circles or anything. So I guess I'm opening it up. If anybody has any suggestions or questions, please let it be known now.
Councilwoman, can I answer your two questions first before I get more?
Sure, go ahead.
Yes, ma'am. The homes are set back 20 feet from the sidewalk. We originally submitted with raised crosswalks, as we had discussed with you, and the Nashville Department of Transportation and City Engineering Department had us remove those. We explored options with them and came up with this layout configuration with the jog in the road and the three-way stop to help promote traffic calming within the neighborhood.
Okay, I did not hear the three-way stop before. Okay, so that information that you just gave me about the garage, you got to help me because I do not know what that actually means. So
okay,
can you get 4 cars there, 2 beside each other and 2 front to back?
You could not park 4 cars, no ma'am. You could park 2 cars side by side in the driveway and 2 cars within the garage, but the driveway would not be deep enough to park 4 cars in the driveway.
Okay, great. So that is one of my concerns I always share with people, knowing that how in neighborhoods now, a lot of families have extended families to stay with them and they have more cars, or even if they have stuff in their garage, that's their business, it's not mine. But to park outside the garage, I don't want a car to be butt to butt and then have its tail overside the sidewalk so that people have to go into the road to get around. So that's one of the things that I was concerned with.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'll have to let Century address how far back they think they could push the homes. I don't know that these lots would be deep enough to get a 40 to 45-foot driveway, which is what you would be talking about right now.
Yeah, Jay, this is Zach Adler, the division president. You mind if I jump in?
No, sir. Go ahead, please.
I appreciate you having us on today. Again, my name is Zach Adler. I'm the division president here. I oversee all of Nashville for Century Communities. To the point Jay was just making, with the 20-foot setback, that allows exactly for what you were talking about, ma'am. So with that 20-foot setback, you're going to be able to put your two cars side by side in the driveway, fitting comfortably. However, if you're back slightly farther than that, the challenge comes in exactly what you just said, where someone tries to park an additional vehicle that then sticks out into the road. Typically, in order to put 4 cars in, like you were describing, you would need a 40 to 45 foot deep driveway. And unfortunately, the site doesn't allow for that with the lots that are on it. But it will comfortably fit the 4 cars, as Jay had said, 2 in the garage and then 2 in the driveway, which is typically what we've been seeing. And then, if you don't mind, I'd like to address, I know you'd mentioned about Century and the quality and some questions on that. Do you mind if I touch on that quickly?
I don't mind.
Well, thank you so much. So I want to address Century is a national home builder that has been in business for over 20 years. But I can speak more directly to here in Nashville, which ultimately is what concerns the people on this call today. So myself, I'm the division president. I live here in Nashville. I work here in Nashville. We have an entire team to the extent of from the land team that will be developing the site. And more importantly, once we go under construction, we have an entire construction team that is dedicated to this site, a construction manager that will be there Monday through Friday, specifically to this site, not jumping around, as well as a VP of construction that has over 20 years experience to manage that process. I myself have over 20 years experience in home building as well, and will be here day in and day out. Once the home is complete, we have a dedicated team of warranty that, should any need arise, are there on site and local to ensure that we are giving the quality to our homeowners that we would expect for ourselves.
Okay, thank you for that input. Do I have anybody that would like to make comments that are on the call, please? It is hard for me to see because, like I said, I am on my phone. So if anyone has their hand up, it's hard for me to tell. I would advise you to just go ahead and ask your question. Likewise, I can't see quite how many people are on this call to know if this is a good meeting time and we have quite a few people on there or not. So I will say to you, this is going on Pinhook. Now is your time to say any concerns that you have that some of you have addressed with me, or any input, because I know some of you are very knowledgeable about the area. And I think what I heard them say is they have addressed things that have come up in the meetings before. So if you have anything that you haven't heard or you need to hear, please take time out to go ahead and talk about that now. Okay, so I am not going to be here all night if I don't have any people that have any expressions. I think that there are a couple of questions in the comment chat room, but I can't pull them up. So Jay, I'm going to ask you or somebody else, to take a look and see if you can actually pull that up. Because I know that we have quite a few people that are very knowledgeable in our area and usually have questions.
It's Zach Adler again. I actually have the chat up. If you don't mind, I'm looking at it right here. Patrick says we have a few questions. We live in the next community. Our home's back to the community. But Patrick, forgive me, I don't see the questions, and I'd be happy to answer anything that I can at this time.
Okay, if there are some questions in the chat, would you go ahead and ask, and answer those? If not, I'm getting ready to go ahead and wrap things up and then ask people to go ahead and email questions if they have specific questions, and we'll make sure to get those to you. Matt, if you would please put in the chat room my Lee4D33 at Gmail email, because that's the one that I need those things to go to. And I will stop now because I think I heard somebody getting ready to make a comment.
Yeah, forgive me.
This is Jay Easter. I can read. I found one question. I found one statement that says they back up to this neighborhood and they have questions. The first question I've found is, will there be visual barriers planting between the communities? And the answer to that is yes. There is an evergreen planting along the perimeter of the entire neighborhood that is required by Metro, and we have exceeded that width and the amount of evergreen material that will be planted between the neighborhoods to help buffer between the two communities. That one seems to be on there twice. During the construction, what are the blasting and insurance? I'm going to have to let Century take that one.
Yeah, I'll take that one. So during, and I'm going to be, and forgive me for being in generalities with this, because a lot of this will come once we are on site and the details of it. But any type of work that needs to be done from a blasting, construction, rock, those kind of things that we're all very familiar with living here in Nashville, there are very specific guidelines in terms of proximity to any of that work being done, to include if it's too close in proximity, it's not able to be done. If there is blasting that's required and capable from a distance, then there's actually different investigations that need to happen during the process to include inspections of property and things like that. So if there were to be any blasting that needed to take place in your home or in the proximity of it, there would be further notifications and conversations about it to ensure that we in no way, shape, or form want this construction to impact your home in terms of anything with that. And hopefully I answered that. Also to include during the construction, what are the times and noise? So certainly construction, specifically on the development side of it, you know, as we just talked about with rock and things like that. But we're certainly going to be respectful of the community as we're a part of that community to ensure that we're not doing anything to disrupt the life of those of you who live in the area.
And I could be wrong, and you can look it up, but there is specific times that you can work during a weekday where that noise can happen.
Yes, ma'am.
And it cannot happen on a Sunday unless you get special permission to work on Sunday.
Yes, ma'am, that's correct. And we have no intention of doing so at this time. Greg asked about the efforts to ensure the drainage from our community flow into the new one. So part of, and Greg, I'll answer that, part of the process as we go through with Metro and designing the community and the plans is that water flow, that drainage, if you will. So that will absolutely be reviewed not only with our engineers and our local team, but in congruence with Metro, in congruence with the municipality to ensure that in no way, shape, or form is this community impacting other communities around it.
Now,
That is correct.
I'm sorry. I usually talk to you all when you come to my first meeting, and I can't remember if I told you all this or not, but I'm sure you're going to have an HOA. But a piece of what happens is that you will be selling to individual buyers and not to companies, so that there won't be a buying up to sell to rent, and that there's a provision in the HOU that it cannot be used for an Airbnb, and a certain percentage of rental by individual sellers. Do you remember having that conversation with me?
This is Jay. I may be the only, Dan and I may be the only one that have been around for the entire process, so I can answer that. Yes, ma'am. We remember committing to you that there would be no Airbnb. The original submittal that we submitted the very first time after the first neighborhood meeting included language on that fact within the SP. Staff has had us remove the original language, but it can be incorporated into the HOA
Yes.
guidelines and bylaws.
Right, correct. Okay. Anybody viewing this, more questions or concerns or input?
I saw a question from Patrick. He was questioning the mosquito problems. This is Derek Ventura. I'm also with Century. I'm part of the entitlement land manager. Pretty much how this will be designed going forward is any of the stormwater ponds, they are made to drain water and not hold any other than, to make sure that any flow that's going off site is less than what was existing. So none of the drainage from the bio ponds or the stormwater ponds, detention ponds, should be holding any water at any time.
Do I have anyone on here from any of the other metro divisions that I need to introduce, or the governor's office, or anybody that I did not see because I'm on my cell phone? I know sometimes our super person, Mr. Honeysuckle from water, is on here. Is there anyone else that needs to speak up that I need to introduce? Okay.
There seems to be another question about the roads. These are all public roads. They are not private roads. And therefore, they'll be built to the metro standards.
In your previous meetings, did you talk about if all of all the wires are underground, and where in the front the mailboxes will be, and if you have lighting in that area for where the mailboxes are?
Yes, ma'am. There will be mailbox kiosks within the neighborhood. Let me jump back to the site plan. And as we discussed and you requested in one of our previous meetings, we have provided lighting for the mailbox kiosk area. Let's see. We did.
Dan, we specifically made adjustments to address those safety concerns. There were several people at the last community meeting that had concerns about lighting and safety and things of that nature, and we revised that to specifically address it.
So the reason I think I can address this question about why it started and stopped, and we're back at this. Century Homes purchased this property from the previous developer that started construction without full approvals from Metro. There was a stop work issued on the property, and then they sold the property instead of continuing with the process we're going through with you guys to get an approved SP. That's why construction stopped, and nothing has happened. Since then, Century Homes has bought the property. We redesigned the neighborhood. and have been going through the approval process and go and meeting with Councilwoman and on these neighborhood meetings, hoping to continue to move this forward to Planning Commission and eventually City Council.
I see all of the buffers that you all have around here. Remind me again, how many houses altogether were you talking about? Usually people ask for the price point. I don't remember if you said that at the beginning, but just so that they will know that, and that you can point out the buffers that will help with that. And I think, you know, I always like to have more than one way in and out. I think we only had one way in and out on that. So if you will address that as well.
Yes, ma'am. So this is 38 homes. Currently, there is one way in and out. We provide 2 road stubs to undeveloped property to the north of us that can eventually become alternate ways in and out of the neighborhood. Unfortunately, this property has very limited frontage on Pinhook, and there is only enough room to get one entrance and exit at this time until adjacent properties develop, because there were no road stubs provided by the adjacent neighborhoods for us to tie into.
Patrick had asked about if these are single-family detached homes, correct? That's correct, Patrick. In terms of your question on the bedrooms, so all of them are going to have 3 bedrooms, and depending on the floor plan, they can go up to 4-bedroom, or a lot of times they have that extra area as a study, office, that sort of layout on it. And the total number of units was just addressed.
Okay, any more questions, concerns, input? Billy, I saw you on here. You don't have any comments?
Well, I was trying to get to the chat thing and I can't get it to work. Can I just ask my question?
Please do, please.
Only question I got, will this development require approval of a zone change?
This is an ST development, so specific plan development. The plan has been designed specifically to fit this property. In that process with Metro, that is considered a zoning process and goes through the same number of meetings and readings at the council as a rezoning does.
Thank you.
So that if we start to send this through and you have something that you want to add or something that you want them to address, we can do that anytime before it goes to the 3rd reading. Are there any more comments or questions or concerns on this? I do know, okay, I saw Will the Pinhook. I saw something pop up on my phone. So Jay, somebody read, was there something else put in the chat?
Hold on one second and I will check. Yes, I can address that. It asked if the road frontage along Pinhook will be improved. The road frontage of this property along Pinhook within our boundary will be improved. We are dedicating right of way and improving Pinhook along our frontage.
Like I said, I have been working in Knoxville all this week. That's why I'm not in it. So I know that there is a meeting at Metro to talk about the stadium. So that may be why a lot of people are not on this call. So what I want to do, I think Matt put I can't see it on my phone. I think Matt put the contact email that I would rather in the chat so that if you have special Matt. Okay, he just did it. Okay, so that if you have special comments or suggestions that you want, make sure you say we're talking about this on Pinhook. Jay, give me that number again. It was 3. Give me the number. The address.
The address of the property?
Yes.
Let me go back to the cover sheet.
31 something.
3834 Pinhook.
Thank you. So make sure you put that in the title of the email and send me an email of any other suggestions or anything that you want me to send to them. And I will do this because I do want this vetted very carefully by the community to make sure that it is something that they have addressed the questions and the concerns you had in the past.
Yes, ma'am. And we are happy to address any questions or concerns that come forth. Are you comfortable with us proceeding to a planning commission meeting?
Except that if I get a whole lot of emails, I don't see a problem. My only concern is that we don't have the population on here that we usually do, and I think because there's so many other things going on, but you have had several meetings. So I am asking them if they have something to email me something to that email address that Matt put in there, and then we will send that to you and make sure you all address and look at whatever that is. But other than that, I think I'm comfortable with putting it through. But of course, like I said, it's going to depend on if I hear a lot of rumbling that just didn't have time or weren't on to put it in the chat.
Okay, thank you.
I think that road does not have a lot on it and could stand to be improved. Our only thing is adding any adds more traffic and adds more babies to our schools. So I know, as I have always said, that is always going to be an issue.
And yes, ma'am, we understand that, and we are making the improvements where we're able to, which is along our property frontage where Metro requested we dedicate some additional room and right of way to improve the road, and Century is doing that.
Good. And it's nothing wrong with you all coming up with some improvements that you think will be good yourself and not just listening to Metro, because you know they just give you what is necessary. I think something else popped up on my phone. So is there somebody put something else in the chat?
Yeah, yes, ma'am. The question is, or statement, Pinhook in this area is becoming a traffic congestion problem, and accidents are increasing because of the number of new communities. Not really a question, but it's a statement.
It is, and I think it's a type of statement that wants you all to look at if you can put any closer to the road, maybe any sidewalks or any kind of improvements closer down there, even if it's just a little past yours, to help with people walking there or kids walking to catch the bus and that type of thing.
Yes, ma'am. We are putting sidewalks on our property. Unfortunately, where we do not have the right of way, we are unable to make improvements on other people's property.
Yeah, I got it. Okay, so I'm going to ask you too, because I don't think I asked you this in the beginning. I usually ask most of the folks to reach out, because I know you all do the study from Metro, and that doesn't always come out right, the school study. So you may want to just reach out to the principal at some of the schools that your area will feed into. You don't have that many homes, so hopefully it won't be too big of an impact. But I think Mount View might be your elementary school you feed into. But you could check to see what your feeder schools are and just see if there's anything that you can help them with while you're working on this. Maybe adopt a school, or they need some money to help with playground equipment or whatever, just to be able to show that you do want to be a help in the area.
Yes, ma'am. Now remember, we are contributing $50,000 to the area, to a place of your choice. So if the school system or the schools is where you would like us to spend that, I think we could work that out.
I got you. And you're right. I had kind of just let that go right quick. Okay. All right. So I'm going to get ready to cut this down, but I'm asking, does anyone else have any comments or questions? This leaves us in a place where, yes.
Councilwoman, there's a question about, will this affect the high school and bus stops? I'm sure we would have a bus stop somewhere within the neighborhood to pick up children. How it affects the high school, we would have to rely on the school system to tell us that.
Right.
How
And what
different?
And what Metro will do is give you an estimate of what, according to the average of what goes there, how many that should affect the high school. So they don't really know, because you could have all the families with high school kids. So we don't know. But either way, it's going to affect our schools if it's one kid that's put in that wasn't there before.
Then there's a question about how different is this project versus the prior one. The biggest thing in that, I would say, is that we're going through the full process to get approved correctly, as the previous developer should have done. The layout is drastically different in that we have a very large central green space and public space within the neighborhood, and the previous layout that I saw did not. And this is fewer homes than what he was trying to put on here.
And that's a good thing with the fewer homes. And I will tell you, in the past, before I got in, every development did not come before you all as a community to talk and to hash out and to give your input. So it may never, the other one may never have come to you all.
There's a statement, Councilwoman, about this road is very small and needs a lot of attention.
Right.
I'm not sure if they're speaking of Pinhook or referencing our new roads.
They are probably talking about Pinhook, as it needs a lot of work.
What about the home? What about the home I believe they're asking about the homes in front of the community. And if they're asking about these two homes, those are staying. They are not part of this project. There's a statement that says there is a school bus stop in front of our community and would need access. Antioch High School is very close to this community. Do we have any idea of price point? I'll have to let Century address that one.
Jay, I'll address that one. The reality of it is, based on the timing of this process, it's certainly up to change. I mean, I think we've all witnessed the last several months and what the market has done. And I will candidly say that Century doesn't make the market, we serve it. And so we will adjust pricing according to the market. Looking at where the pricing is right now, if we were to be coming to market, is the best thing that I can answer, which would be in the high 3s, low 4s, depending on the square footage, bedroom count, options, people select, that sort of thing. But that's the goal of where we would like to start. But again, certainly as the market changes, we will adjust with it.
Someone else has a statement about increased traffic congestion with Lakewood Village bus stop and adding another bus stop within a quarter mile. And that's all we have right now.
All righty then. I am going to ask you, please, if you have other things that you did not feel comfortable sharing, or that you, for whatever reason, didn't want to put in the chat, email those to me and I'll make sure to get that to them. so that we can, I want to make sure that whatever your concerns are, they're addressed and you hear what's going up in this area. And I know a lot of
Woman,
things. Yes.
Yes, ma'am. Is there any way we can have a time frame on that so that we can coordinate with staff on which planning commission agenda we may be able to get on?
I will say go ahead and see what you can do and do that, because even if there are concerns and changes, they can be done after you put that there. But I'm going to say let's give people at least, I don't want to say a whole week, but let's say 3 or 4 days to get something to me if they have some comments that they need to get to me on this particular project.
Yes, ma'am. That's very reasonable. Thank you.
Okay. All right. I know there were a lot of things going on this afternoon. I want to thank you all so very much for joining me. Please be safe. Take care of yourself. And I will see you in the next meeting. Thank you, everybody, so much for being on.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for having us.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.